Reddit, what is your most disturbing, scary, or creepy real story?
Isominalam. My friend was changing really quick behind one of those stands that sells stuff in the day.
It was around 3 a.m., so we thought it was clear. We all looked away and she was changing, when all of a sudden she screams and we see this dude out of nowhere, coming out from the closed stand. He sees all of us and we all look at him, and he just slowly creeps backwards into his stand, which apparently he lives in. It was all closed up and everything. You wouldn't suspect someone living inside of his own shop. Deleted user. I've been having a number of sleep paralysis moments the past year, but haven't yet encountered the shadowy people, as mine always took place during a nap in the afternoon while slouched on a couch. It's the worst feeling in the world to be fully awake, but the rest of your body is still sleeping and won't respond. I have a toy poodle. Occasionally I would have her lie on my stomach cause it's warm and all snuggly. She doesn't care for it too much though, and would jump off as soon as I released my hug/grip. She would normally listen if I ask her to stay or sit somewhere, but she never responds to my calls of coming onto my stomach. One afternoon I drifted into a nap and felt my body go out of sync again. I panicked. All of a sudden, just as I was about to be fully aware of my sleep paralysis, my poodle barks, and not only hops onto my stomach of her own will, but proceeded to fully lie down while staring at the wall. Her actions jolted me awake. It's more of a weird encounter than anything, but with all the stories attached to sleep paralysis, the smells, the shadow people, the tall man and the old woman, it's pretty disturbing to me. Mr. Milkbeard, this happened to me twice over this last summer, but it was the scariest thing that's ever happened to me. Where I live, there is a lot of stories of skinwalkers and things of that nature. But I never really thought they were real, but still kind of freaked me out. There's this place next to a bluff where there are supposedly these skinwalkers and other things of that nature. So late at night, around 1 in the morning actually, we went to this place. It was hard to get to, and it's blocked off by a fence except in one part, which is the only place I know of. As soon as we drove through the fence, I got chills. My buddy was half asleep because it was very late, and he woke up from all the bumps. I heard him gasp and I looked over at him, and he was ghost white and terrified out of his mind. He said, "We need to leave." Now, we left because he was freaking us out. Later he told us he saw a little girl running up the hill, and as soon as we cleared the hill ourselves, no one was there. I wasn't too sure about this because he has just woken up and might have just been flipping out. But one day me and some of the same friends went to that same place, minus my friend that saw the girl. It was just getting dark, so I wasn't as scared. It was a bit of a hike downhill, down some clefts. Me and my friend were ahead of the others, and we both stopped at a growing sound. It sounded like a dog, or coyote, which aren't uncommon here. Either way, we ran back to the top of the hill to our other friends and turned around to look at where we were just standing. We saw a guy just standing where we just were looking at us. We went home. Stupid us went out there later that night with more friends. This time it was only me that got scared shitless. We were just messing around, rock crawling in a lifted truck. I was sticking my head out the window to spot the driver, so he didn't hit any trees or rocks. Then it happens. I hear a little girl screaming the most blood-curdling scream. I flipped out, asked if anyone else heard it. No one else did, so I convinced myself it was just in my head. Until the driver heard it later that night, at the same place. Haven't gone back there, but every time I go I get scared shitless. Anyways, sorry for the long story and probably bad writing. Waishan Station. This might not be as disturbing for other people, but it was extremely disturbing for me. I was really good friends with a guy in high school, and one day I mentioned that I had gotten a boyfriend. This sent him on a tirade about how he was waiting for me and how he's been in love with me and how I was leading him on. It then escalated to him talking about how he had almost killed himself the last time we fought and how he had a knife and was gonna hurt himself. 911 was called. He was sent to a mental hospital for a few days, and he just tried adding me on Facebook. Wook Walrus. I know I'm sorta late, but whatever. Also, this is kinda long. So, me and my friends Mike, Haley, and Lois are all hanging out as we often do on weekends. We're just chilling in 7-Eleven eating our pretzels and drinking our soda we had bought when we got a text from this girl, Melanie. I have the text right in front of me, so this is exact. So me and Jill found this creepy abandoned house and we want to go in. Some convincing of Haley and Lois later. We meet up with Melanie and Jill. A lot of people I know don't bother trying to keep track, only a few end up being important. After some walking about the neighborhood, it's about 11 o'clock and we get to the house. Standard creepy abandoned old house, boards on windows to keep stupid teens like ourselves out. We go into the backyard, gate was open. It's basically a small little rectangle with a pool in the middle with a cover over it. We end up just breaking a lock that was on the back door to get inside the house. The house was kinda just run down and normal at first. Now for the scary things. I'm with Jill, and everyone else is pretty much scattered about the house doing their own exploration. Me and Jill trek up the stairs and go to the first door on the right. Before we even go in, Jill is flipping out. I open the door, and I see a chair in the middle of the room, with nothing but mirrors all around. Glass shards were all around the chair with what I would assume to be blood on them. Jill, for some odd reason, seems to just calm down, and then she wants to go into the attic. So I pull the little string and the staircase into the attic comes down. We both climb up and it's a really tight space. You had to crawl to fit. Jill goes in first, crawling around looking at shit that was left up there like books and whatever. And then we heard a growl. Now everything I'm telling you next happened in the span of about 5 seconds. And I cannot attest to it being real or a sort of manifestation of fear. I looked over, saw a gray-skinned, black-haired girl, yup, exactly like the Grudge, just laying growling. Jill flipped out and fell through the space where the staircase up was. Somehow, her hitting it sent it up, leaving me in the attic. I ripped the Muttley tool from my hoodie pocket and started smashing around the attic staircase in a massive panic. I hear it crawling and dragging even closer. Then finally, I felt something just barely touch me. I smashed down so fucking hard you wouldn't even believe it. Something in the staircase broke, allowing it to come down, so I fell and fractured my wrist. I looked up and it was gone. Also, Jill's a bitch for not fucking opening the staircase. TLDR. Abandoned house, attic, creepy Grudge girl, Jill's a cunt. Choo-choo cannon. After a long day at school, I fell asleep kinda early, fully clothed, with my phone in my hand and on my couch. My lights were out, and it was easy to drift off. At about 1 o'clock, my phone vibrated and rang because I had gotten a text from my sister. I opened my eyes and was about to reach for my phone when I realized there was a man standing in front of me, facing away from me. As my phone vibrated, the man immediately froze and started to slowly turn around. Frightened, I pretended to be asleep, keeping my eyes mostly shut, just barely able to see the man. He turned and faced me, stared at me for a few moments, then started to creep away. He walked out of the back door to my house, shutting it behind him. After a few moments of nearly shitting my pants, I jumped up, locked my back door, and freaked the fuck out. I never thought to call the police. For some reason, it just seemed silly and unbelievable, and so I just sat up all night. Fortunately, I always keep a spare knife hidden in my couch in case I need an impromptu weapon, so I was confident I could defend myself. Looking back, I should have just called the police. TLDR man breaks into my house. I pretend to be asleep. I need a new change of pants.